Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're going to be talking about a very special topic.
That's right. This topic was actually suggested by one of our listeners.
Exactly. So keep those comments coming because we want to create lessons that you need, that you want.
Exactly.
So what are we talking about today?
Today's lesson is about applying for a visa.
A very, very important topic.
Yes, and specifically, it's about a visa interview.
Exactly. As you all probably know, when you apply for a visa, especially for the US, you have an interview
Yes.
where you have to answer some questions.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So before we jump into the dialogue, let's take a look at vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
Okay, so let's talk about visa.
Right. A visa, it's not a credit card.
No, not Visa or MasterCard.
No. So a visa is an official document that you get in your passport that allows you to travel legally to a country.
Exactly. So with this document, you can go into a country. Okay, so we have different types of visas. Today we're going to be talking about a B2 visa.
Right. A B2 visa is a tourist visa.
A tourist visa.
Yeah.
This is only for the United States. Other countries may have different classifications for their visas, but B2 is for the United States.
Right. So, Marco, we use a tourist visa when we want to be a tourist and just travel in the U.S. What about a resident visa?
Well, you can have a temporary resident visa. Like, for example, an F1.
Yep.
An F1 is for foreign exchange students who go and live in the States maybe for a year or do a MBA for 2 years or 3 years. So that's an F1 visa. You can also get a J1 visa, which is a temporary exchange visitor.
Okay.
So it could be to maybe do some temporary work for 2 or 3 months and then go back to your country.
So basically, a resident visa allows you to live in that country.
Yeah, you can live in that country legally for a determined time. Okay, so let's listen to our dialogue. Where are we going to be exactly?
In this dialogue, we're going to hear two people, a visa officer and a person who's applying for the visa. Now, the person who's applying for the visa has an accent, right?
Yes.
But this is really good practice for helping you to understand people with different accents.
Exactly. So let's listen to the dialogue and then we'll come back and explain all the great vocabulary.
So you're applying for a B2 visa. Where's your final destination and what's the purpose of your trip to the United States?
I'm going to visit my brother. He's just had a baby. He lives in Minneapolis.
And how long do you plan to remain in the United States?
I'll be here for approximately 3 weeks. So here's my return ticket for the 26th of March.
And who's sponsoring your trip?
My brother. Here. This is an invitation letter from him. I will stay with him and his family in their home.
All right. Tell me about the ties you have to your home country.
Well, I own a house. Actually, I'm leaving my dog there with my neighbors. I have a car at home. And my job? I'm employed by Tornell as an engineer. Actually, I only have 3 weeks vacation, so I have to go back to work at the end of March.
And what evidence do you have that you are financially independent?
Well, I do have assets in my country. Like I said, I own a house and see, here's a bank statement showing my investments and my bank balance.
I'm sorry, sir. We cannot grant you a B2 visa at this time. Instead, you are granted a resident visa. Congratulations! You are the millionth person to apply for a visa. You win! Congratulations!
All right, what a lucky guy. He applied for a tourist visa and now he's getting a resident visa.
Yeah, that's great. But does this really happen,
No.
Marco?
No, that would never happen at a consulate.
Okay, well, we can dream that this might happen for us.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's take a look at the words in language takeaway today.
Language takeaway.
All right, on language takeaway, we have sponsoring.
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 So, Erica, what does it mean to sponsor somebody?
When you sponsor somebody for a visa, you take care of them and make sure they have enough money.
Okay.
So you are the one who's responsible for all of their expenses and making sure they just have enough money.
Okay. So for example, when I was 16, I made a trip to another country.
Yep.
And my parents were my sponsors.
So they took responsibility for your money.
Exactly. Okay. Let's look at our next word. Invitation letter.
Invitation letter.
Invitation letter.
Invitation letter.
Now, this is a really important part for a visa application.
Yes, very important.
What is an invitation letter?
Well, an invitation letter is a formal letter that a friend or a relative or maybe a business writes to ask you to come to their country.
Exactly. So you're being invited for a specific purpose to the United States.
Yeah, and you have to give this letter to the visa officer.
Okay. Invitation letter. Our next word. Ties.
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 Looks exactly like tie, like the one you wear in your suit.
Not quite the same, though.
All right, so what are ties?
The ties you have to your country are the things that keep you attached to your country.
Okay.
That make sure that you will return to your country.
Okay, so what are some examples of ties?
Like maybe a house or a wife or a child or maybe some money in your bank account.
Okay.
Or a job even.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, a good way to think of this is imagine like a rope that's attached to you and tying you to your country, to your house, to your job, to your kids.
Okay, so you can't run away.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, that was clear, but let's listen to some more examples of how we would use ties.
Example 1.
I sold my house and closed my bank account. I don't have any more ties to my home country.
Example 2.
Alvin enjoyed being single. He wasn't ready for the ties of family life.
Example 3.
Diplomatic relations have improved, and the ties between the two countries are stronger.
All right, it's clear now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at our next word. Financially independent.
Financially independent.
Financially independent.
Financially independent.
So that means that you don't need anyone.
That you have enough money.
You have enough money for yourself.
Right. So you don't have to ask your parents to pay for your ticket or pay for your food or whatever.
Okay. And our last word for today. Assets.
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 Okay, so your assets are kind of like your ties.
Right. There are things of value that you own, things that are expensive that you own in your home country.
So it would be a house,
Yep.
a car,
Yep. Maybe stocks or investments.
Okay, so all of those things are your assets. Okay, so we've seen a lot of great words, and I think it's time for us to listen to our dialogue again. We're going to slow it down for you.
Yeah, this will help you understand it a little bit better.
So, you're applying for a B2 visa. Where is your final destination, and what is the purpose of your trip to the United States?
I'm going to visit my brother. He's just had a baby. He lives in Minneapolis.
And how long do you plan to remain in the United States?
I'll be here for approximately 3 weeks. See, here's my return ticket for the 26th of March.
And who is sponsoring your trip?
My brother. Here. This is an invitation letter from him. I'll stay with him and his family in their home.
All right. Tell me about the ties you have to your home country.
Well, I own a house. Actually, I'm leaving my dog there with my neighbors. I have a car at home and my job. I'm employed by Tornell as an engineer. Actually, I only have 3 weeks vacation, so I have to go back to work at the end of March.
And what evidence do you have that you are financially independent?
Well, I do have assets in my country. Like I said, I own a house. And see, here's a bank statement showing my investments and my bank balance.
I'm sorry, sir. We cannot grant you a B2 visa at this time. Instead, You are granted a resident visa. Congratulations! You are the millionth person to apply for a visa. You win! Congratulations!
Yay!
Okay, today we're not going to do our regular toolkit like Fluency Builder or putting it together.
No, we're going to do something a little bit different today.
We're going to talk about the questions you will probably be asked at an interview for a U.S. visa.
Yes.
And the useful language that you can use to answer these questions in a good way. Okay, so let's take a look at our first question.
Where is your final destination, and what is the purpose of your trip to the United States? Where is your final destination, and what is the purpose of your trip to the United States?
So this is probably going to be the first question the interviewer is going to ask you.
Yeah, so Marco, I know you have a lot of experience with U.S. visas. How should we answer this question?
Well, it depends on what you're doing, right?
Right.
So if you're a tourist, you would say, I'm going on vacation to New York or anywhere. Also, if you're visiting a family member, like in our dialogue, you would say, oh, I'm going to visit my sister or my brother or my cousin. If you're applying for a business visa, then you would say, oh, I'm going to visit a company or etc.
Right.
So you just have to say why you are going to the States.
Now, is it important to be really specific?
Yeah, the more specific you are, it's probably better. So if you can name the state and the city where you're going, it's much better.
Okay. All right. Well, let's listen to our next question.
How long do you plan to remain in the United States? How long do you plan to remain in the United States?
Okay, so this is a really important question also because in your application, you have to put how long you plan to stay in the U.S.
Right.
It's a pretty straightforward answer. 2 months, 1 month, 3 weeks.
Right. But you just have to make sure that your answer matches
what's written in your application form.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, now let's take a look at our last question.
Tell me about the ties you have to your home country. Tell me about the ties you have to your home country.
Well, I think this is maybe the most important question that they'll ask you, right?
Yeah, this is the most important question. This is what the interviewer is most interested in.
Okay, so why is he interested in this?
Because he has to be sure that you will not become an illegal immigrant to the United States.
So that you will return to your home country.
Exactly. He or she has to be convinced that you're going to return to your home country.
So how can you convince him?
Basically by demonstrating your ties.
So showing the things that will pull you back to your home country.
So if you take documents to support this, bank statements, maybe a copy of your mortgage.
Yep, like maybe your wedding certificate.
I don't know, even a letter from your office, from your job.
So that shows that you have to return to your work.
The more things you bring, the better, even though the interviewer might not ask for the documents.
Okay, it's better to be safe, right?
Exactly.
So come with a huge file full of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've had friends who've arrived to the embassy with a huge file of documents and weren't asked to show any of the documents.
Right.
But other interviewers will maybe ask for it. Okay, so now let's listen to the dialogue again.
And you'll hear how our traveler answers these questions.
So you're applying for a B2 visa. Where's your final destination, and what's the purpose of your trip to the United States?
I'm going to visit my brother. He's just had a baby. He lives in Minneapolis.
And how long do you plan to remain in the United States?
I'll be here for approximately 3 weeks. So here's my return ticket for the 26th of March.
And who's sponsoring your trip?
My brother. Here. This is an invitation letter from him. I will stay with him and his family in their home.
All right. Tell me about the ties you have to your home country.
Well, I own a house. Actually, I'm leaving my dog there with my neighbors. I have a car at home. And my job? I'm employed by Tornell as an engineer. Actually, I only have 3 weeks vacation, so I have to go back to work at the end of March.
And what evidence do you have that you are financially independent?
Well, I do have assets in my country. Like I said, I own a house, and see, here's a bank statement showing my investments and my bank balance.
I'm sorry, sir. We cannot grant you a B2 visa at this time. Instead, you are granted a resident visa. Congratulations! You are the millionth person to apply for a visa. You win! Congratulations!
Yay!
Applying for a visa, a step-by-step guide. Applying for a visa is an important process for anyone who wishes to travel to another country. It is a formal way to request permission to enter, stay, or work in a foreign nation. Although the process can vary depending on the type of visa and the country you are visiting, the general steps and guidelines remain similar. Below is a detailed guide to help you understand the process of applying for a visa, step by step. What is a visa? A visa is an official document issued by a country's government that allows a foreign citizen to enter, stay, or leave that country for a specific purpose and period. Visas can be placed in your passport as a stamp or issued electronically, depending on the country. Why do you need a visa? Visas are important for many reasons. 1. Security. They help the host country ensure that visitors have legitimate reasons to enter. 2. Control. Visas help monitor the number of people entering and leaving the country. 3. Regulation. They allow governments to set rules for entry, such as work permits, tourist stays, or educational programs. Types of visas. There are different types of visas depending on your purpose of travel. 1. Tourist visa for vacation or visiting friends and family. 2. Student visa for studying at a school or university abroad. 3. Work visa for people who want to work in another country. 4. Business visa for attending meetings or conducting business activities. 5. Transit visa for passing through a country on the way to another destination. 6. Immigrant visa for those planning to live permanently in a foreign country. How to apply for a visa. Here are the key steps to apply for a visa. 1. Determine the type of visa you need. Before starting the process, understand the type of visa required for your trip. Check the official website of the embassy or consulate of the country you plan to visit. 2. Check the visa requirements. Each country has specific requirements. Some common requirements include a valid passport with at least 6 months of validity, a completed visa application form, recent passport-sized photographs, proof of financial stability such as bank statements, a letter of invitation if required, travel itinerary, including flight and hotel bookings, proof of purpose such as admission letters for students or job offers for workers. 3. Complete the visa application form. The visa application form is a detailed document. You must provide accurate information, such as your full name and contact details, your travel plans and purpose of visit, details about your passport. Double-check your form before submitting it. Errors can lead to delays or rejection. 4. Gather supporting documents. Ensure you have all the required documents. Organize them neatly in a file. Missing or incorrect documents can cause problems. 5. Pay the visa fee. Most visa applications require a non-refundable fee. The amount depends on the type of visa and the country. Payment methods vary, so check the embassy's guidelines. 6. Schedule an appointment. Some countries require an appointment for a visa interview. Book your appointment online or through the embassy. Make sure to choose a convenient date and time. 7. Attend the visa interview if required. The visa interview is an important step. Be honest and confident. Common interview questions include: why do you want to visit the country? How long will you stay? Do you have ties to your home country, such as a job or family? Prepare your answers and dress appropriately. 8. Wait for processing. Visa processing times vary. Some applications take a few days, while others take weeks or months. During this time, the embassy will review your application and documents. 9. Receive your visa. If your application is approved, you will receive your visa. Check the visa carefully for errors, such as incorrect dates or misspelled names. Common challenges and solutions. Incomplete documentation. Always double-check the list of required documents. Long processing times. Apply well in advance of your travel date. Rejection. Understand the reasons for rejection and address them in your next application. Tips for a successful visa application. 1. Start early to avoid last-minute stress. 2. Be honest in your application and interview. 3. Follow the instructions on the embassy's website carefully. 4. Keep copies of all submitted documents for your records. 5. Stay patient. Visa processing can take time. After receiving your visa, make a travel plan and stick to the rules of your visa. Carry a copy of your visa and passport at all times during your trip. Respect the laws and culture of the country you are visiting. Conclusion. Applying for a visa may seem complicated, but with careful preparation and attention to detail, it can be a smooth process. By understanding the requirements, organizing your documents, and applying early, you can increase your chances of success. Remember, a visa is not just a piece of paper, it is your key to exploring new opportunities and experiences in a foreign country.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Stay. Remain. An amount that is almost but not exact. Approximately. Someone who takes the responsibility for a person applying for a visa. Sponsor. A formal letter asking a person to come to a place. Invitation letter. Responsibility that links a person to a place or a thing. Tie. Something that shows the thing is true. Evidence. Have enough money to live alone. Do not need help with money. Financially independent. Things that are worth money that you own. Assets. Let you have something. Grant. A person whose job is to interview people for visas. Visa officer. An official document that allows you to live in a country. Resident permit. Embassy. A piece of paper you have to put information on to make a formal request. Application form.
Let's try that faster.
Let you have something. Grant. Have enough money to live alone. Do not need help with money. Financially independent. A person whose job is to interview people for visas. Visa officer. Someone who takes the responsibility for a person applying for a visa. Sponsor. Embassy. An official document that allows you to live in a country. Resident permit. Something that shows the thing is true. Evidence. A formal letter asking a person to come to a place. Invitation letter. Responsibility that links a person to a place or a thing. Tie. Stay. Remain. Things that are worth money that you own. Assets. An amount that is almost but not exact. Approximately. A piece of paper you have to put information on to make a formal request. Application form.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Sponsor. Nike is sponsoring our sports team. Sponsor. If you apply for a visa to another country, you must have someone who can sponsor you and guarantee that you have enough money. Sponsor. My father sponsored my visa application. Tie. I sold my house and closed my bank account. I don't have any more ties to my home country. Tie. Alvin enjoyed being single. He wasn't ready for the ties of family life. Tie. Diplomatic relations have improved and the ties between the two countries are stronger. Evidence. The evidence shows that this man is guilty. Evidence. The bank needs evidence that you own a car or house. Evidence. The police are searching the house for evidence that can help them find the criminal. So you have no house, no car, no investments, and no money at all. In fact, you have no assets. The total value of the company's assets is more than $1 billion. We have about $100,000 in assets. Grant. My college granted me a scholarship for being a good student. Grant. The genie of the magic lamp told me that he will grant me 3 wishes. Grant. He was granted a medal for fighting in the war.